Good evening, everybody. It's Donna from the Dragonflies Creations. Today we're going to be making this card here, or something similar to this card. It's going to be showcasing a new stamp set, as well as a new embossing folder and one of the new in colors from the new 2019-2020 catalog. I apologize, you will hear my computer's humming away behind me. It's trying to process a video. And it's kind of loud. I do have my air conditioner off this time, so that shouldn't be too much of a problem. So hopefully you can hear me okay. And it's not too distracting, the background noise. Okay, so this is the card. And let's show you what we need to get it done. We need a card base. I'm using Mary Merlot for the card base. I found that the Rococo Rose, which is the in color that we're using, just coordinates quite nicely with that. So we're using a card base, a Mary Merlot card base. We are using a mat. This is going to be 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. And then the mat in Rococo Rose is going to be 5 1/4 by 4. And then we're going to need, for on top of here, we're going to need this is the new DSP in Rococo Rose. This piece of DSP is 2.5 by 3 7/8. It's going to be going on there like that. And then we need a piece of white where we're going to emboss the Button Button Embossing folder. And this piece is going to be 2 5/8 by 3 7/8, and that's going to go underneath. For the ribbon, you will need a piece that is basically 5 1/4 inches long. Whoop, there it is. And this is the new, it's on page 174 of the Annual Catalogue. You're going to need some frosted gems or whatever you'd like to embellish your card with. I'm using these ones today because I had them and they match. You will also need a scrap of white, you don't need a piece that big, it's just for the happy birthday at the front. You will need a scrap of Rococo Rose so that we can punch out one of those, and a scrap of the Mary Merlot, which fell on the floor, for the same reason, just so you can punch out one of the little tabs. You need a small piece of vellum. This is about 3 inches square. And you're going to need another scrap of Rococo Rose for the 3 butterflies right there. We're going to use some clear embossing powder, as well as we're using this punch, the butterfly punch, which coordinates with the butterfly wishes. This came out in the Occasions catalog, and it's carried forward over to the Annual catalog. This one actually will coordinate with that as well. This one is a rubber stamp, but the other cling stamp. The other one was a photopolymer, I think, and it is carried over as well. And of course, we need this label punch for the center there. We also need the Button Button Embossing folder, which was on my desk 2 seconds ago. Oh, there it is. Which was new with the new Annual Catalog as well. We're going to need some Rococo Rose ink and a sponge dauber. And what else? I think that's pretty much it. If not, we'll find out. Okay, so we'll move this out of the way. I just punched these out of the scraps just to make it easier and quicker. And we're going to take that little scrap of white that we had right here, just to get the stamping out of the way. We're going to stamp it. I used a happy birthday stamp. I have a drawer full of stamps that sit on my desk. There are stamps that I find on my desk that I don't know where they belong to, and this was in there. I found it afterwards. It's actually from, I believe it's from Amazing Life, which is retired, but I'm sure you can find another stamp that would fit inside that little label. We're going to use the Rococo Rose to stamp that one. And of course, it doesn't have to be happy birthday. There's lots of different things you could do for this one. Whoops. And we'll punch that out. Okay. Don't need that again. And then on this scrap, we're going to stamp 3 of the smaller butterflies onto the Rococo Rose with Rococo Rose. Oh, I think I did that one a little bit too close together, but. And this one, there is a little trick that you could punch both at the same time, but I didn't need the bigger one. I need the bigger one on vellum, so it didn't really matter to me. So I'm just going to line them up and punch out 3 of them. I'm not trying to get myself in the shot, so I might have to I'll punch all 4 of them and see which one I like the best. That one probably didn't really work, but okay, so there's 4 of them, and I need 3 of these ones. I think we'll just take those 3. Okay, and then we need to do a vellum butterfly. We're going to use the bigger one. And because it's on vellum, it's going to stay wet long enough for me to emboss it. Close this up. I just like my vellum in here because I'm really messy. So this contains it. I know the container looks like it's really big, but it's probably more so because I don't have a lot of embossing powder in there. But this way it allows me to contain all that embossing powder. I did forget to use the embossing buddy, which I did have out, but it's okay because I'm punching it anyway, so it won't matter. Those little spoons that I used, I just got at there's a little wholesale, well, like a Loblaws banner store. Sorry, that's my warning that I got something else to do. But anyways, as I said, it's a wholesale company that sold a whole bunch of those all together, and they weren't expensive at all. So I'm just going to turn on my heat gun. Hopefully it doesn't bother you. You might want to just fast forward through this for a second or 2. I do like to heat my heat gun up a little bit because I don't want the vellum getting too hot. I did go from back to front only because someone once told me that the actual proper way to emboss is from the back, but I just find if I go to the back as well as the front, then it kind of helps combat a little bit of the warping that you get. There we go. Okay, we'll just let that dry for 2 seconds. Okay, my punch is right here. If you find that your piece of cardstock or whatever you're punching is too small, you can always add a either like a post-it note to the end of it, or some a post-it note to the end. It helps me just make it a little bit bigger. When I'm in my classes, that's generally what I do, just so I don't waste any of it. There's a little butterfly. Okay. Now what we have to do is emboss this with the embossing folder, the Button Button Embossing folder. There's many ways that you could color these. There's just so many of them. You could put ink on your embossing folder and send it through that way. But then I found that it wasn't coloring the parts I wanted colored. So we're going to do it this way. I am using a big shot for this. It moved on me, so I've got to put it back the proper way. Or else I'll have buttons going in every which direction. Pretty. There we go. It's in clear. I did consider, I had some Rococo Rose In-Colour that I put in with some shimmer paint, and it looks really pretty, but I decided not to use that simply because I couldn't remember which spray bottle I had it in. So what we're going to do is we're just going to use some Rococo Rose in a sponge dauber, and we're just going to kind of sponge it over the top. It's not going to be all the way like the other one was, because I actually think I kind of inked it a little bit first, that one, but you could use the glycerin. Oops. But I'm not too worried about this one as much. I do, hold on. The glycerin makes it glide on easier. And I do have, let's see, these brushes that are supposed to be really good. I don't really find that it does anything for me. Like, I find I still get splotches and that, so I don't usually actually just bother. I think the sponge dauber does just as fine for my purposes anyways. I wanted the buttons themselves to be just a little bit darker than the rest, so. There we go. This one's much darker than my original card is, but that's okay. Okay, we're going to put these two together now. I have some snail here. You can use whatever you like. Okay, now we're going to put this ribbon around to the back, just so I don't forget, because usually I forget that I have to do that step. And I've glued it down, and then it's too late. Oh, that's too low. Now the butterflies. I do not want the butterfly to be flat, so I am just going to put, what should I put? I think maybe a blue dot. maybe two glue dots. I don't think you should see it because it's got embossing right there, so it should be okay. Probably should have rolled the leaves, the wings a little bit up, but they're still fine. These ones I am leaving flat. And I think I'll just use a glue dot on those as well. I use many different kinds of adhesive, as like most people do. Not just Stampin' Up! In adhesive, because I think there's just different reasons for me to use different things. Generally, when I'm making cards, I actually don't use that particular, the snail tape runner, because I want something really, really strong. But for videos and for some lighter stuff, this stamp works great. I think I put that one in the wrong spot, that butterfly, but yeah, I should have put them a little bit higher so I could have put a butterfly there, but that's okay. Okay, come on. Usually I use those are the ones that came in, these dots are the ones that came in the Paper Pumpkin kit. Usually I don't use them. Usually I use the ones that come in a roll, because they're easier. You just tap them and it picks them up. Okay, now we have these, and what I'm going to do with these is I want to kind of be tricky and get them to extend past the happy birthday. And how I did that is I simply just cut the two in half. And then I'm going to attach them to the actual label. This kind of makes it look like I had a bigger label than I did. And it kind of helps bring in the colors for all of them. Just kind of want to have them even on both sides. Oops, not like that. Okay, oops, it's not even. There we go. Okay. Kind of fiddly, but it worked. And happy birthday is a little crooked, but it'll be okay. Okay, I'm just going to use one of these little foam strip thingies. I'm thinking this will be pretty strong to hold it all down onto the card. Actually, I think I'm going to attach this first to the card. I should have cut out an inside. because I would prefer a white insert, so I'll do that at another time, but I would put a white insert, and you can even stamp a butterfly on the inside of that. Okay, where's my snail? There it is. Ribbon moved. Don't like that. There we go. That'd be a little odd to have the ribbon down like that. Okay, there's that one. And some frosted dots. Oops, didn't rip it, but trying to just move it a little bit, but didn't really work that well. So we're going to put some frosted dots on here. I think we'll put just because I don't have too many of them. I'll put a big one down here where that big open space was. One in here. And then a smaller one up here. On the original card I think I put 5 on there. Okay, so there's the card. There's the original card. It's just a little bit darker on the one I just made. And again, I would definitely put a white piece on the inside. And maybe stamp a butterfly and one of those in the Rococo Rose, most likely. Okay, so that's our card for today. I hope everybody has a wonderful evening, and we will catch you next time.